ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Mair! Thank you. Thank you very much. I gotta say, every day I wake up at this festival and I paranoid for the whole day no one's gonna come, and I just worry about what job I'll have to get. So I'm really happy you're fucking here. Today I came up with Uber. That was all I could think of. I think I'd be good though. I know what I do with my first passenger. Like, I planned it all out. They'd get in. They'd be like, yeah, I'm John. I'm going to 52 Charles Street. And I'd just look at them and I'd say, that's not where we're going. No way, John. We're gonna start a new life together. Just me, you, and the road. Do you want to sit in the front? I had a taxi driver say that to me once. Do you want to sit in the front? I was like, no, I'm good. I'd actually rather be murdered in the back, thank you. It's roomier back here. More room to wiggle while I'm choked. Here's a question. You ever use an Uber to move without telling the driver that's what you're doing? They don't like it. They get very angry. Because you just spring it on them, you know? And they never know with the first box. The first box, they think, oh, it's a box. But by the third box, that's when they know it's happening again. And my guy tried to fight me. He was like, you know, we're not a professional moving service. I was like, I mean, all my stuff is in your car. I think you'll find you are. This is like day 88 of this festival. I do love it because everything becomes a comedy venue. Do you think this is this is not a comedy venue? This looks like a place where you'd have a cryptocurrency conference. Are you buying Ethereum? It's a bear market. Get in there now. You missed out on Doge. You missed out on Bitcoin. I got a crypto tip early. I didn't take, and I had to watch my friends literally become millionaires. Do you know how good it felt when that fucking market crashed? I am worried about money, though. Are you worried about the economy? Yeah. I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like in 6 months, we're all gonna be on OnlyFans. Like, that's gonna be the only job left. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just gonna be what happens. Like, you're gonna masturbate, I'm gonna give you the remaining money, and then I masturbate, and you give it back. And that's just the economy. But I think I'm worried about money because I'm just 36, and everything in your 30s becomes really real, you know? And it's not like 36 is old, but it's not young. It's not. Like, the only way 36 is young is if I die at 36. Do you know how depressing it is to be at an age where to seem youthful you have to be in a fucking coffin? I walked into a pub a while ago, and there's this bouncer, and he wanted ID. I didn't have any ID, and then he just wouldn't let me in. But the drinking age in this country is 18. I was like, look at me. What do you think happened to this 17-year-old boy? Like, what life have I lived? If after 17 years on this planet, this is my face, body, and demeanor. How did I get here? What, did I walk here from a war zone? Was every birthday present a car accident? Just happy birthday. Was my baby food crystal meth? What was it exactly? And if I am 17 years old and this is me, maybe I need a drink. You know who I'm annoyed with and sick of? I am sick of these people who thrived during the pandemic. Actually, the last 2 years have been the best 2 years of my life. Oh, really? You must have had a shit life. I actually started my own small business. Oh, cool. I hope your business burns down. It's from my home. I hope your home burns down. And I hope you're home when it happens. I did nothing during the pandemic. I stared at a wall for 2 years and then I came here. I have a friend who wrote a novel. Do you know how depressing that was for me? This guy wrote a novel while I just showered less. And I mean, look, we've all tried to write a novel, you know? Even if you haven't tried to write a novel, we've all had a day where we're like, maybe there's something inside of me that the world needs to hear. Maybe I should express my creative truth. You know what I'm saying? And then you sit down and you start writing. And then the next day you read it over and you're like, it turns out I'm not a writer. Not this guy, he finished his novel. And I was so depressed. But then, a couple months ago, it finally got published and it sucked and I've never been happier. Turns out the only thing better than achieving something yourself is watching a friend try to achieve something and fail. Yum, 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 that's good. Mmm, tasty. Because really what happened is this guy put his heart and soul into something and it failed and he felt awful. Whereas I did nothing and I was all right. That's the easier path. And I know he felt awful because I asked. And it got reviews on the Amazon page and they were so good. The first one said, this novel reads like a novel that was written by someone who said, I've always wanted to write a novel. You should have done something else. I wrote that review. Sometimes it's fun just to fuck with somebody a little, you know? Like the other day, I was in a room, somebody came in to plug their phone in because it was only on 2%. So they plug it in, they leave the room. I unplug their phone, plug mine in. That's a great feeling. Yum, 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 yum. It's good. Because really, what happened was my phone was getting stronger while theirs just slowly fucking died. And I watched it, I was like, fucking die. I want to watch you die. I felt high. If that was a drug, I'd cut it up, snort it, and sell it to kids. That is how good it was. And then about an hour later, I heard them coming up the stairs, so I unplugged my phone, plugged theirs back in. I just didn't want them to have the satisfaction of knowing why. And it worked. They're like, wait, my phone is still only on 2%. Either the phone is broken or the charger is broken. I was like, actually, we know that it's not the charger because my phone's on 100%. So now my wife is buying a new phone. Yeah, I'm a married boy. About a year and a half ago, my wife was at the point where she wanted kids. I wanted to adopt, because I am adopted. And we had to find a compromise, which I think we did. We decided we were going to have kids, but put them up for adoption. It's the best of both worlds, you know? She gets the joy of giving birth. I get to continue my uncomfortable family tradition of just abandoning children. It's the only one I have. And then she had a kid. And I'll be honest, I didn't really want kids. No, I just always had this chip on my shoulder where I was like, how could my parents have me and give me away? How could they just look at baby Bobby and never want to see him again? And I was depressed for years. And then we had our daughter, and the other day I was holding her, just looking her in the eyes, and I was like, I kind of get it. her, but I left her to come here. It wasn't that hard. And I'm sure every day it'd get a bit easier. I understand them now. What I'm saying is, if you ever sit there thinking, how could anyone ever abandon a child? Just try it. You know what's crazy? If I abandoned my family today, I would have to pay child support until that kid is 18 years old. But if I convince my wife to just come with me, we're free. Doesn't that strike anyone as a bit odd? That if one parent leaves, they're a social pariah, but if two parents leave, the government's just like, well, I guess it's a shitty kid. We don't blame you. We'll take it. I want to adopt. It's a good thing to do. I don't know. But I do want to adopt somebody older than me. Just like a 90-year-old lady. I think that'd be exciting, you know? I want to raise her right. I would. I'd do it all. I'd take her out for her birthday. She won't have many, you know? Enjoy what we can. The server would be like, excuse me, sir. Can I get you and your grandmother a table? I'd be like, excuse me, sir. This is my fucking daughter. You ageist. Leave my little girl alone. Well, I brought the whole family up to this festival. We've been hanging out the whole month. You know, we took the train up. I love the trains in the UK. I always get the pre-booked seat when I travel. Love the pre-booked seat. Been in this country 11 years. Always get the pre-booked seat. Then what I do is I wait outside the train. And I wait for everybody to get on the train. And every seat to be taken, including my pre-booked seat. Then right before the doors close, I jump on. And that's when the fun begins for me. But I don't go to whoever's sitting in my pre-booked seat right away. No. I walk up and down the train. I make sure they won't have anywhere to fucking lean. And after about 20 minutes, when I know they just had that feeling like, I'm okay, I hover over them. And I wait for them to notice me. And when they look up, I say, excuse me? Yes? Are you me? No? Well, then why are you sitting in me pre-booked seat? And then I get to sit down, and they have to stand beside me for hours, and it's so good, like I'm a king. And they're like, oh, my knees hurt. And I'm like, yeah, lady, you're pretty fucking old. They're gonna do that. And that is the story of how I met my adopted daughter. People like to give you weird advice once you've had a kid. Even when my wife was 8 months pregnant, this lady said was, get all your sleep now before the baby comes. You ever hear that one? Get all your sleep now before the baby comes. I'm not a fucking bear. I can't choose when I sleep. If I could choose when I sleep, I would have slept for 2 years. Just to excitedly wake up in time for the war. You follow the war? Ish. What does that mean? Not daily. Weekly. Once a week, you're like, how's it going? Still war. Okay. Do you have like a side you're on?
Ukraine. Yeah.
Ukraine. Agree to disagree. Okay. Wow. No, yeah, of course. I was at a dinner party, and I said that to a guy, and he said, "Which war?" And it's like, what do you mean, which war? Obviously the one with white people that we're all emotionally invested in. Which war? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were a Yemen guy. And obviously, yeah, there's other wars happening in the world that get less attention, and it's horrific. But every war is just old men sending young men to die. Every war. And I was sitting on my couch the other day, and really, I'm not gonna solve it, but I wanted to figure out, how could that stop? If I had all the power, what would I do? And I figured it out. Who's the one sending people to war? Old people. Who's benefiting from war, really? The old people. Only old people should be allowed to go to war. How old are you, sir?
56.
I'm not even talking you old. I mean older. 56, no. Only over 70s should be allowed to go to war. Every country should have their own geriatric army. That way, you have to treat your population pretty well so a bunch of them make it to 70 so you can have an army. Also, you ever visit like an 80-year-old? They're always like, when are you coming back? And it's like, I don't know, when I feel guilty again. Leave me alone. And then you have to make small talk with them because you're related to them fucking distantly. And it's horrible. And their house smells like the relatives you haven't seen because they're gone. It's awful. And they're, you know, you just make the small talk. And he just, oh, so do you still want to go on a vacation? Oh, I don't know. I don't have anyone to go with. Where would you want to go if you went? Oh, somewhere hot. Somewhere hot. Okay. Have you ever heard of Yemen? Also, listen. I think I speak for a lot of people in this room. I would find it hard to just kill someone like they did in World War II or World War I, knowing that really we have way more in common than the old people that sent us to war. But old people are racist. And I know what you're thinking. I know some old people. I don't know if they'd really be good soldiers. Don't you worry about it. In the geriatric army, there would be a purpose for every soldier. Okay? I'll give you an example. Over here, you got a confused man who just wants to go for a walk. I know what you're thinking. How's he gonna contribute? Well, don't worry about it, because over here, you got a forest full of landmines that needs clearing. Just walk until you hear the boom, Grandpa. I live in London, and I gotta say, England loves the Queen. I was watching the Jubilee. They fucking love her, and they don't care what she does, you know? She helped pay off her son's accuser. Do you know what the public said? Meh. It's her son. I was like, yeah, but like, you know, it's our fucking money. What do you want your taxes to go towards? Well, you know, when teens get sex trafficked and then are forced to have sex with elderly, disgusting princes, I'd like to help that guy out. England loves the Queen. And imagine how much more they would love her if in August she left on horseback wearing like bear skins and a Viking helmet, leading a geriatric army. And then returned in November, triumphantly holding Putin's head. It's a good idea. I took it to Dragon's Den, but they didn't want it. They're like, this isn't a business. I was like, all right. Agree to disagree. I was watching The Staircase. Anybody seen that? Yeah. I love it. Okay, so if you don't know, The Staircase was a documentary made into a drama, and it's the story of a woman named Kathleen who was found dead at the bottom of a staircase by her husband, Michael. Now, a lot of people think that Michael killed Kathleen. And the main reason they think that is because he did. Very clearly did. He also found another woman at the bottom of a set of stairs in the 80s. What an unlucky guy! He did it. So when they adapted the drama series from the documentary, they had one problem, and that's that the documentary starts after Kathleen is already gone. And because of that, you don't really feel like you know Kathleen. So they had to invent some scenes with the actress playing Kathleen so that the audience feels like they know who the show is about. Now, the scene they invented with Kathleen to help establish her character is one of the weirdest choices I've ever seen in television. I'm just gonna lay it out for you. Michael and Kathleen are in their kitchen, making dinner. The mood kind of overtakes them. Michael gets down onto his knees, slowly peels down the jeans of Kathleen. This is pretty hot, isn't it? Yeah, and then he just starts eating her ass. Keep in mind, this is a real dead lady that they made this up about. They were just like, yeah, and then the murderer eats her ass. And so on and so on. I would pay $1 million to be in that writer's room. I want to know so badly how they got from point A to point tongue and ass. My mind is blown, because I've been in writers' rooms. It's just a bunch of people sitting around spitballing ideas. Somebody writes it down when it's good. Even the bad ideas get written down. And I feel like they must be like, okay, we need to crack Kathleen's character a bit so we know who she is before she dies. And one guy was like, okay, what if we show her, at her job and in her career, and that way you see that she's more than just a victim like all of these women in every murder documentary. She was a human being with a career, with passion, with feelings outside of her marriage. She wasn't just a wife because she happened to be killed by her husband, probably. And then they were like, nah, that sounds fucking boring. And then the me of the writer's room was just like, I have an idea. And they're like, I thought we fired you. No. Okay, what's your idea, Bobby? What if the murderer just eats her ass? And then they were like, oh, actually, I'm glad we didn't fire you, because you are in charge now. It's your show. Go with it. How many licks? When I'm not holding the baby, I often am pushing a stroller around. You guys call it a pram. I was pushing that in the park the other day. Found that there's some things I can't do, really, as a parent. Yeah, because I got a call and I had to run home. I started running while pushing it. Here's the thing. If you were running while pushing a pram, people would think, wow, that new mother is exercising with her baby. Yeah, not so much for me. Not so, no, when I run while pushing a pram, a woman starts screaming at me and saying, I'm pretty sure that guy stole a baby. Here's the thing. How do I prove I'm not? Anybody? I don't know. If the cops would have came, I would have just had to be like, yeah, I guess this kid's as much yours as it is mine. Take it. And then someone said to me, no, what you gotta do is you just show them pictures on your phone of the kid. That way they know it's your kid. I was like, oh, good point. Also, note to self, if I ever kidnap a kid, take a lot of pictures. Just be like, yeah, officer, yeah, this is my kid. This is us running through the woods an hour ago. For anybody following along so far in this show, I have 3 children, my own biological daughter, an elderly adopted lady, and a kidnapped child. Who's my favorite? I'd have to say the kidnapped one, because I worked the hardest to get her. It's hot in here. You know? The last couple months, there's been this heat wave. And then the scientists are like, this is climate change. You're supposed to be scared. And we're just like, oh, I don't know, this is pretty good. You know? And I am concerned about climate change, but I've lived here for a long time. It's hard to care about climate change when you live in a country where the climate is shit. I read an article a week ago, and it said, if the UK carries on with its current emission levels, by the year 2100, the climate of the UK will resemble that of the Mediterranean. That's how they're trying to scare us. By being like, hey, if you don't do anything, eventually your home will become your holiday destination. Look out! And we're all like, oh, excuse me, while I go burn a tire. Every year it gets hotter. We all know we have fucked the planet, and nobody knows what to do. We have these little token gestures to make ourselves feel better. Remember a couple years ago, we stopped using plastic straws and started sucking on wet paper to save the turtles. We felt so good about it. But I used to smoke cigarettes wrapped in paper. Now I smoke Elf bars, disposable plastic vapes. So does everybody else. We've just traded plastic straws for plastic vapes. And I mean, I guess it's better for the turtle, because at least that way its last breath tastes like strawberry ice cream. It really depresses me. Like, do you know what we are? We all are just little lobsters. And we put ourselves in a slowly boiling pot of water. And every year, we turn up the gas a little. Because it's a bit easier, it makes our life a bit more convenient. And then we birth children into a slowly boiling pot of water. That's what we do. And then when the children get old enough to realize the world we have brought them into, and they ask for change, or they just query our decisions, we're just like, shut up, you're autistic! I have had to get my life together. I finally got my driver's license after failing my theory test 7 times. Yeah, that's right. That means 7 times I cried while being surrounded by excited 16-year-olds. Do you know how pathetic that felt? It was horrible. And the reason I failed was because I have this emotional narcolepsy, okay? Where if I get really stressed out, I just fall asleep. That's my body's way of responding to stress. Sleeping. So what would happen is I wanted to pass this test so badly, I'd get into this test center, I'd start clicking with the mouse, I'd get really stressed out, fall asleep, wake up at the end of the test. Fuck, I failed again. Then I get stressed out again and again and again. Fail, fail, fail. Somehow, on the 8th try, I passed. And then I was like, well, I hope the practical test isn't too stressful. Yeah. But I passed that, now I can drive here. One thing I love about driving here, I do love whenever somebody here is pushing a stroller, or as you call it, a pram across the road, what they always do is they always push the pram out first to make sure it's safe to cross. It's a bit odd, you know? They just shove it out a little, and they're like it's a canary in a mine. And they're like, well, nobody's ran over the pram yet. I guess I'll go onto the road. I don't know what happens if someone hits the pram. You're just like, well, looks like it's not very safe. Better go back here. Another thing I like, whenever I come up to one of your zebra crossings, or as I call it, a crosswalk, you guys always give me a little wave to thank me for stopping. Like that's a normal thing to do. I don't know what happened to you collectively, but where I come from, we don't have to thank people for not committing vehicular manslaughter. Like, what happens if when you're halfway across the road, I just slam on the gas? Are you like, I take back my wave, actually? I don't think people in the UK appreciate how hard it is to drive in the UK. Because I drive to gigs everywhere. You guys have these winding, narrow country roads with hedges on each side of the road, and they're like one lane. And then you're like, oh, is this a one-way street? No. Two-way street. I really feel like 100 years ago, you had a chance to fix it. And there was someone who was like, hey, I was thinking, because now that the roads are no longer just for horses, and we're gonna have cars on them, maybe we could widen the roads so 2 cars could fit on them. And you guys were like, no, we're gonna stick with horsey roads. Okay, but like, what happens when 2 cars are driving at each other on these winding, narrow country roads? Well, obviously, the car that's the biggest pussy drives into the ditch, waits for the other car to drive by, drives out of the ditch, and carries on their way. Okay. And what's the speed limit on these roads gonna be? I'm assuming like 20, maybe 30 miles an hour? No, 60 fucking miles an hour. 10 less than a motorway. A few less than the maximum speed you're allowed to ever drive. That way, if you do get in an accident, you bleed out and you die, just not right away. You have time to sit and think about how you should have been the pussy. I had to fly back to Canada last month because somebody in my family Googled it and found out that actually on this island with current COVID restrictions, it's not illegal for me to leave, which is what I've been telling them for 2 fucking years. And it'd been going great. But then I had to go home and see them. I don't know. I saw my grandma. She's 103. And I know, old for a lady, but young for a turtle. And I've been using those paper straws for her, baby. She's really sharp. She does a crossword puzzle every day. She's smarter than I am. Incredible. But her body's just dying around her. It's horrible. It is. My other grandma had dementia. I sometimes think maybe that's better. And people act like everything's so black and white. Like, oh no, you have to keep your wits about you. It's like, I don't know. Do you? Every issue in the world now is a black and white issue. Like, I was listening to talk radio, and they were talking about dementia. And then they were talking about euthanasia. Euthanasia is crazy. It's like the weed of death, you know? Everyone's for it, but it's still illegal. And this guy calls in, and he's like, yeah, my name's Simon, and I just think if I get dementia, I should be able to say, when it gets to a certain point, put me down. And everyone on this show agreed with him as if it's that simple. But it's not, you know? Like, how would that really work practically? What? He's gonna be sitting on his hospital bed. The nurse is gonna come in and be like, how are you doing today, Simon? And then he's gonna say, Good. I'm just ready to go to school. And then what? She's gonna say, oh, no, Simon. You're not going to school today. Today, we're going to kill you. Wait, what? I don't know, why? You said if it ever gets to the point where you start saying, I want to go to school, we should kill you. I don't remember saying that. That's kind of the point. Please, I just want to go play with my friends. I'm sorry, Simon. We've already got your friends. You're the last one left. Please, no, there must be another way. Just let me go for a walk. Okay, there might be one more way. Have you ever considered joining the army? I am mentally ill. Anybody here mentally ill?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you got going on?
Oh, depression, autism, probably ADHD.
Those are a lot of good labels.
Yeah.
Listen, in 2022, labels are currency, baby, and you got 3. That's good, that's sexy. I got 1, I have borderline personality disorder. Now, it's a good label, because no one really knows what it means, but it seems a bit sad. I think, honestly, 2022, best time to be mentally ill. You know, 100 years ago, there was a psychiatrist used to rip out mentally ill people's teeth because he thought evil was in the teeth. I gotta say, I'm pretty sure that guy was mentally ill. But now, in 2022, the mentally ill, we can do anything. You know, we can run countries. Hey, say what you want about Boris, but to me, he's just an inspiration to the mentally ill. I know he's on his way out, and I'm not saying he's doing a good job, but I would comfortably say he's doing a way better job than most people with whatever the fuck he has would do. The internet is quite sure he has narcissistic personality disorder. So I Googled that, and then I wanted to get my head around what that was. So I found this list of famous people with narcissistic personality disorder, and it was so good. I just have to tell you who's on the list, okay? Here's the list. Trump, Hitler, Mussolini, Alexander the Great, Kim Jong-un, Kim Kardashian, Mariah Carey. That was a real list of famous people with narcissistic personalities. So you know what happened there, right? They listed all these murderers, and then they were like, fuck, we need some women. It's a hard time to be mentally ill, because everybody now has ADHD. Not to say you don't, but everybody has it. Anyone else with ADHD? Well, you're not really proving my fucking point, are you? Usually there's like 20 of you being like, yes, I do, I took an online test. I read a study, 20%. That's what they're estimating. They're estimating 20% of this population has ADHD. I gotta say, if 20% of a population has something, it's not really a disease or even a neurodiversity, it's just the human condition. You know? And it's the story's always the same, like, I didn't ever think I had it, but now I've realized I have ADHD because I just find it really hard to just sit and, stare at a screen for 8 hours like everyone else. And it's like, yeah, because it's fucking awful. You know? It's not you, it's the way we live. That is the problem. At some point, we'll stop giving ourselves labels and be like, maybe we're not just little fucking workers. If we saw a dog living the way we live, you just see a dog, it sits on a chair every day and stares at the same spot on the wall for 8 hours straight. You know what I'd do? I would calmly put a leash on the dog, I'd rub his head, I'd kiss him, I'd take him outside behind the barn, put a gun in his fucking mouth and pull the trigger. and I would feel nothing. It was Mental Health Awareness Week. I hate Mental Health Awareness Week. Because whenever it happens, and I'm surprised no one said it here, it happens every show. Usually, someone will say, yeah, I'm mentally ill. Aren't we all? That's the new attitude. Aren't we all mentally ill? Therefore, eliminating mental illness is a thing because we all are a bit crazy. Because it's this campaign now where it's like, you need to talk about your mental health. As if talking is a cure to mental illness. It's not. That's just for suicidal people. If you're suicidal and you talk about it, you're less likely to kill yourself, which is great. But how terrible is treatment for mental illness when they're like, well, we stopped the patient from dying. Well, what about happiness? You're alive. It wouldn't happen with any physical disease. If somebody had cancer, imagine getting tested for cancer and then them being like, yeah, you got cancer. Like, fuck, when does my chemo start? Yeah, we can't really get you in, so we just thought you should know you have it. Enjoy it, tumor boy. Mental Health Awareness Week. Everyone gets involved now. People get online and they'll just be like, one time I was at work and I felt slightly anxious. Hashtag mental health awareness. And I'm just like, you're not in the club. You just had an intense emotion and mistook that for a mental illness. And then other people are like, one time I was on a bus and I felt claustrophobic. Hashtag mental health awareness. And it's like, oh really? You felt claustrophobic? Well, one time I ran around a roundabout screaming. Just, ah! And then the cars didn't know what to do, so they just treated me like a car that had missed its exit. Just, ah! And as I was running around the roundabout, I kind of came to and realized I'm on a roundabout. I have to get off said roundabout. How do I do that? And I didn't really know how, so I just signaled with my arm. And in that moment, a little smile came on my face, and I thought, thank God I took that test so many fucking times. I just want to say, I know sometimes my comedy is a bit negative, so I thought it'd be fun to end on a story of happiness. And I want to tell you the story of the happiest moment from my pandemic. So here it is. So something you don't know about me, I love golf. I've always loved golf since I was a kid. And when I was 16 years old, I was playing in my local club championship. And I was paired with my high school bully. He also loved golf and was really good at it. I was all right. On every hole, this guy threw my clubs out of my bag, called me horrible names. He just hit me randomly. On the 9th hole, he told me I had to hit my ball. I said, there's people up there, I'll hit them. He said, you can't hit it that far. So I was forced to hit my ball. And I gotta tell you, I've never felt more proud and ashamed than when I hit a pregnant woman in the back with a golf ball. But I hated this guy. And he wanted to be a professional golfer. And he was really good. I wanted to be a comedian. And I thought, I'm doing that. I wonder if this guy ever did what he wanted to do. So I Google him, as you do, and I found out what he's up to. And it was good. He's running a driving range. And for those of you not in the golf world, that's the lowest of the low. But that's not why I'm telling you this story. The reason I'm telling you this story is because what I found out a couple hours later when I got a message from an old friend. When I found out that my homophobic high school bully is doing so badly in his golf career that now he shows his feet to men on the internet while they masturbate. And before I go, I gotta tell you that when I read that, I came. You guys have been amazing. Thank you very much. Have a good night.